Yeah, I didn't have time to go through the example about I mean, it was a project that I did personally. It was my master thesis and I designed a sustainable product service system related to information and communication technologies in schools, in public schools in Italy. And so this is really connected with the public service and the government. But the point about regulations and normatives is that, for example, in that project, in the engagement of stakeholders from the private sector, I mean, ICT manufacturers, for example, like big companies, even like Nature or Esser or Casio or whatever. When I was proposing my solution or co-designing with them the solution, they raised many perplexities about how the relationship between the provider and the customer will be set in a contract. For example, this is especially related with the payment modality. So when you have a mobile, for example, it's really easy because you are a private customer and you pay per use is not a problem. But when you are in a school, for example, in which you are, in my project, the S.PSS, obviously the customer of the S.PSS was the local school, and the provider was let's say the public education system in Italy that was connecting the companies with the school itself. It's not that easy to quantify the payment and to arrange the payment into a contract. So when I was referring to the regulations that are still missing, is this the fact that is not yet ready to implement S.PSS because there is a lack of definitions to how to write down the relationship between the stakeholders in the system, especially when systems are kind of delicate, like education. So this is the first answer. Did I reply? So the second one was about how to motivate people to participate in the open access contribution, and if this is related. There is a gender question related to. But what about the gender question? You mean still in the participation of open access systems, or?
Yes, in a sense, yeah, like contribution of in the design of software, for instance.
Okay.
Open access.
It's a really difficult question, I would say, but in relation to motivating people to open access system, I would say that probably the local dimension of these open access systems will be the key to make people kind of interested or motivated in participating, because they can perceive more the contribution on a small scale, I would say. So if the open access, for example, still making the example of the lens network, where you have the big platform, but you also have downscaling of this worldwide platform into regions, even in terms of resources, courses or lectures or tools. So you go from the international lecturers to the student itself, but you have always the kind of perception of being part of a small scale network. So you are kind of participating in, for example, in Lens Europe or Lens Italy, and then you are contributing to the whole Lens. I don't know. You perceive the relationship with peers also. And honestly, probably I don't have. I haven't seen, to be honest, this gender, let's say, the gender difference in the motivation of part of contributing in an open access system. But probably you were talking about yesterday about this gender theme. what probably meant about access to energy was not about open.
It was about a specific project. Now in relation to the lens platform, I think Luca said it very well. The idea of having this very localized small networks which are linked together allows to make the local needs emerge on these platforms. So these are platforms in which educators and researchers can contribute on. Are accessible by anyone, but researchers can contribute. And each localized platform is responsible for their own content. In terms of gender distribution, well, I couldn't see any particular difference in the sense that we have a range of female and male researchers associated with the lens platform. And they contribute in an equal way in terms of shaping the content, in terms of reviewing the content and editing the direction of the local platforms.
Hello, only one question to know your opinion. At the beginning of the presentation, Fabrizio you made the reference to Papanek when he said design for the real world. And it seems that most of the approach of design for sustainability have been developed to empower professional designers and companies. This is my opinion, or what I can see when I was reading papers, etc. Most of these approaches try to generate tools, methods, both for professional designers, for engineers, etc. But what will be, or what would be the position of the design discipline concerning to provide tools or methods to people that propose solutions, but they are not professional designers? For example, in poor communities, in rural communities, they survive, they are very creative people, but what will be the design for sustainability approach to empower all these communities?
Yes, you're right. In the beginning, the work on developing methods and tools related to design for sustainability focused on practitioners and companies as the users of these tools. And this is linked to the fact that initially the way in which we addressed sustainability was mainly at a product service system level. So solutions which are then developed by individual companies or a pool of companies. But when we started moving towards design for social innovation, we also saw different kinds of tools. First of all, tools to support and facilitating collaboration with communities and people, but also tools to allow communities to replicate social innovation. So there was a strong emphasis in particular by Ezio Manzini and Anna Neroni at Politecnico di Milano towards developing tools to facilitate our community to build upon what other community did on similar type of problems or challenges. So allowing these communities to, it was sort of, they call it franchising model. So you have a solution that is applied to a particular context. How can you try to replicate it in your own context? So we saw gradually the development of this kind of tools as well, that see users and communities as the main beneficiary in terms of using these tools. And I think also in terms of systemic design, what Politecnico di Torino has been doing, it's also very much about working with local stakeholders and engaging them into the different stages of the design process. So again, the perspective has been evolving in respect to that.
I have a question about ethics and responsibility, and we were just talking about this during the lunch about product service systems. For example, swap feeds. I don't know if you know it. It's a Dutch bike sharing system. So you pay 30 euros per month and you can use your bike, and the company will make any reparations if it's necessary. And as a result of that, you mentioned it in your presentation, people will be reckless with their bikes and they will throw them anywhere, and it doesn't matter because the company takes care of it. Do you think it's a responsibility of designers to prevent these kind of product service systems to enter the market? Because they somehow do, because people have money for it, even though it's not sustainable. So yeah, where's the responsibility in this?
The designer should always be responsible of the design choices he or she makes. The key problem is to understand and foresee the potential effects of a range of design choices. Even in terms of design for behavior change, there is a lot of debate in terms of ethics. So are designers allowed to drive the behavior of people, for example? To what extent designers know what's good to do in terms of behavior? So these are big questions that links the role of designers with ethics. But in any case, any design solution has some implications in terms of ecological damage, social damage, changing behavior. So what we can do as designers, first of all, is try to foresee what are the consequences of different design choices. Can we do this alone? It might be difficult. We can do that if we work on individual product. We can manage to do that. With product service system becomes a little bit more complex, because of the nature of the solution, of the innovation, the multiplicity of stakeholders that take part in the process. And in relation to the specific example, well, I don't know the details, but as we said, not all product service systems are characterized by sustainability benefits from an environmental and economic point of view. What's important is, most of the cases, to have the key manufacturers involved in the overall solution, so that they can take responsibility of the product and they can properly design the product to exploit all the potential benefits of product service system solution. Even when we talk about car sharing, we can differentiate between car sharing provided by a car manufacturer, similarly to what we discussed before, reverse simple. The manufacturer of a company decided to offer a product service system. So in that case, they are designing the car to exploit the potential of the product service system. So long lasting, easy to repair, high efficient. Another case is when you have a service provider in the between. So you have a traditional car sharing service company that purchase normal cars from manufacturers. So in that case, you can't really exploit all the potential. And this is also reflected in the price of the offer, of course, and also on the ecological benefits or impacts of the solution itself. So each solution has to be assessed case by case. But the question of ethics remains unanswered. It's an important one in the design community.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. It was the last question. Yeah. Thank you very much, Fabrizio and Luca.